Friday night, Clara noticed her husband's gaze on her and turned down the sound on the television. Something you want to say? Yeah, I want to go to a bar with some friends tomorrow, Tom said. Do you mind? The bar again, thought Clara. I'm so sick of it. But can't I forbid him? No, of course not. I don't mind. With a sad sigh, she replied. That's good, thought Tom. Now we must call Maria. Make her happy. I warn you, continued Clara, that you'll have to do your own work afterward. Tom was already full of his dreams and plans for the weekend and did not immediately realize what his wife had said to him. What work? He questioned, but immediately came to his senses. The work. Well, of course, myself. Who else? I almost gave myself away, thought Tom. Not at all. Tom was relieved. She hadn't noticed. But Tom was wrong. Clara had noticed his blunder at once. But she didn't show it. He's not going to the bar, she thought. He's got something else in mind. But what? It may be nothing serious, but what if it is? Things happen in life. You have to check. I'm using a tried and true method for that. Clara smiled affectionately at her husband and left the living room. She returned shortly afterward and, sitting down in the armchair, turned up the TV volume. Don't you need a bath now? Tom asked. No, replied Clara. It's hot. Tom continued. I'm going to take a shower and freshen up. Maybe I'll feel better. Go freshen up. Tom left the living room. He went into the bathroom. He locked himself in, turned on the shower and called Maria. Maria, it's me. Tom said. What's making the noise? The shower's making noise. I'm doing it on purpose so my wife won't hear it. Anyway, it's all right. I've made a deal with her. Just like I promised. For the whole weekend. No, Maria, she won't suspect a thing. She's as naive as a child. I love you too. Talking to Maria, Vadim didn't realize that Clara had left the dictaphone in the bathroom with it turned on to record. The recorder was in the pocket of her robe, and the robe itself was hanging next to the towels. How's it going? Clara asked when Vadim returned to the living room. Do you feel better after your shower? You bet. Much better. It's like being born again. I suggest you take a shower too. It's refreshing. I think I will, replied Clara. Grabbing her phone, she went into the bathroom. She turned on the shower, pulled a tape recorder out of her robe pocket, and listened to the recording. So that's what your bar is like this weekend, thought Clara, after listening to the entire conversation between her husband and Maria. And you think I'm a naive child? Okay, so be it. Who is this Maria? I know her. Isn't she the wife of Tom's friend? That's who she sounds like. We should call her husband. Putting the tape recorder back in her robe pocket, Clara called her husband's friend. Victor, hi, it's Clara. Do you recognize her? Come with your wife to visit us. You can't. You won't be back until Monday. I see. Some other time, then. Goodbye. Clara went back to the room. Well? Tom asked. Refreshed? Clara looked at her husband with a distracted look. She was no longer in doubt as to which Maria her husband was going to vacation with. Thinking about the place, she didn't hear the words. What? She asked her husband. Feel better? Tom asked. Yes, it does, replied Clara. I even feel like doing something great. There. I told you it would get easier. All right. I'm going to bed. I have to get up early tomorrow. As soon as Tom left the living room, Clara called Maria. Maria, hi, it's Clara. You recognized me. I have a favor to ask of you. Why whisper? So my husband won't hear. Nothing's happened. He's going to the bar tomorrow morning. He's spending the night. I don't mind. On the contrary. I want to take advantage of it. You got that right. I want to meet someone. And the timing is perfect. My husband won't be home. Could you cover for me in case of emergency? If Vadim comes home early and I'm not home, where will I be? Do you want the address? Write it down. And Clara boldly dictated to Maria the address of her boss, who had already flirted with Katerina more than once with unambiguous proposals. That's to the boss for his behavior, thought Clara, remembering the insolent, self-assured face of her boss. Let him know that honest women should not be offered such things. I'll have to call his wife too. I have her phone number too. Clara sat in the living room until morning, staring at the TV, thinking of the next steps. Tom asked, entering the living room in the morning. Didn't go to bed yet? I was watching an interesting movie, replied Clara. The first thing Clara did when Vadim went to the bathroom was to take his keys to the apartment and give them a good pounding on all sides with a hammer. Then, after trying unsuccessfully to open or close the doors with them, she handed them back. Now he won't notice that the keys are spoiled, she thought. And when he comes back it will be too late. And I'd rather do that than change the locks. Who was banging on our door? Asked Tom, coming out of the bathroom. I knocked on the neighbor's wall myself to keep them quiet. That's right, agreed Tom and went into the kitchen to eat breakfast. During breakfast, Tom talked about the upcoming walk and how much fun it was. Do you believe it, Clara? It's soul-resting. 2 days, and it's energizing. For the whole week. Clara listened and nodded silently in response. Are you sure you're going away for the night? She asked absent-mindedly. You're not coming back tonight. That's right, replied Tom. I won't be back until tomorrow night. And why? Why do you ask? But it was as if Clara had not heard her husband's question. You tell me this, Tom, she went on thoughtfully. Be sure to call before you come back. Especially if you decide to come back today. Why should I suddenly come back today? Well, you might want to. So give me a heads up. Okay, replied Tom, shrugging his shoulders. I will. As soon as Clara closed the door behind her husband, she immediately called her friend, Maria's husband, from her other telephone, and, changing her voice, informed him of his wife's perfidy. What am I to do now? Cried the friend. Drop all business and return home from your business trip as soon as possible, suggested Clara. Don't warn your wife of your return. When you see everything with your own eyes, you'll know what to do. He realized that he had to return as soon as possible and hurried home. In the meantime, his friend Tom was on his way to see Maria, his friend's wife. And all the way to Maria's, Tom thought of his wife's strange request. To let her know if I should suddenly decide to return early, he remembered the request. What would that mean? Because of this, things were not working out between him and Maria. Maria, of course, noticed Tom's mood at once. Inquired as to the reason. Maybe you don't love me anymore? She asked. I do, replied Tom sadly. Then why such a dejected look? Tom explained the reason to her. "I think my wife is deceiving me," he replied. "So what?" burst out Maria. "Is that an excuse for coming to see me in no mood? Would you sit at home or drive to the bar with your friends?" "Ah," replied Tom. "When suspicions are like that, there's nothing to it anymore. Not you, not the bar." "Ah, so?" thought Maria. Didn't want to say now. "I thought I'd save the information for the future, but I see there's no other way out." "You don't think so," said Maria confidently. That's the way it really is. Your wife is deceiving you. And I even know with whom." "With whom?" "With her boss." "That can't be true." "That's a lie. Clara told me herself that she hated him." "You're so naive," said Maria. "You don't know anything about women at all. Your wife said that on purpose so you wouldn't suspect a thing." "But how do you know that?" And Maria relayed to Tom her conversation with Clara last night. "And now," continued Maria, "your wife is probably already at his place." "No way." At this time the door opened and Tom's friend and Maria's husband entered the bedroom. "Maria," he said confusedly. "Tom. What do you mean?" "You're in another city," exclaimed Maria. "Arrived by the nearest airplane," explained her husband, shifting his gaze from his wife to Tom. "I'll explain everything," pronounced Tom. "Understand, friend. My wife, my Clara, is cheating on me. With her boss. You realize how hard it is for me. And that's why you're with my wife now. Your wife opened my eyes. You have to understand, friend. My wife's deception was told to me by your wife Clara." "What's that all about?" "His wife called me last night and told me she had another," began to justify herself to Maria. "But I swear to you, husband, that nothing happened between us today." "Tom, confirm it." "Confirm it," shouted Tom. "It didn't and couldn't have happened. Because I don't care about that right now. If you want, I can prove it." "You don't have to," retorted the man resolutely. "I believe you." If he hadn't been looking for an excuse to break up with Maria long ago, there's no telling how this would have ended. "If I'd been 30 minutes late, I probably wouldn't have seen anything. And that's why I'm giving you both 1 hour to get out of my apartment." And already in 40 minutes they were out of the entrance of the house. "Where to now?" asked Tom. "Let's go to your place," suggested Maria. "Clara is at her boss's right now." "Are you sure?" "Well, where else would she be? Think about it." Just in case, Tom called his wife, who was at home at the time. "Clara, where are you now?" he asked. "Gone to a friend's cottage," replied Clara. "Why, are you back already?" No, replied Tom quickly. "Just calling to see how you're doing. Is everything okay?" "I'm fine." Clara turned the phone off. "Didn't even ask how I was doing," said Tom angrily. "Because she doesn't care about you right now," she replied. "Let's go," replied Tom confidently. "Where to?" "To my place first. We'll drop off your things. And then to my wife's boss's." An hour later Tom tried in vain to open the door with his keys. "I don't understand anything," he said. "The locks are the same, and the door won't open." "What shall we do?" asked Maria. The warden was not at home alone at this time. With him was Rosa, another of his mistresses. "Are you sure your wife isn't coming?" asked Rosa. "She flew out to Sochi an hour ago," replied Seraphim. "Something doesn't feel right to me," pronounced Rosa. At this time the doorbell rang at the apartment. Seraphim went to the door and looked through the peephole. He saw unfamiliar people. "Who do you want?" he asked. "Serafim Georgievich?" asked Tom sternly. "Yes. My wife is now in your apartment. I demand that you open the door, or I shall be forced to break it down. You can call whoever you like, I'm not afraid of a scandal. A scandal is all I need." "There's your husband, Rosa," pronounced Serafim, returning to the bedroom. "Demands you." "My husband? But how did he know?" "I don't know. Maybe he's been following you. There's some woman with him." "A woman? What woman?" "I don't know. Go and see for yourself." Rose went quietly to the door and looked through the peephole. At this time Tom was not at the door. He had gone out onto the communal balcony to catch his breath and calm down. And Rose saw Maria. "Just what I needed," whispered Rosa, running into the bedroom. "What's in there?" asked Serafim. "It's much worse than I thought," replied Rosa. "My mother-in-law is in there. She's probably the one who tracked me down and told my husband everything. What are we going to do?" The doorbell rang again. "Serafim Georgievich," cried Tom. "Open up. I know you're at home. Don't make me break down the door and be a man. I demand it." "What a strange voice he has," said Rosa, not recognizing her husband's voice. "It's gritty. It must be jealousy that's made him sound like that. He shouts so," thought Serafim, "that now all the neighbors will come running and tell his wife. It'll only get worse. Better open it." Serafim opened the door. Tom and Maria entered the apartment. Rosa came out into the hallway. "Maria," she said. "I'll explain everything now." "Rosa?" marveled Maria. "You? Here? Where's Clara?" "Who is Clara?" asked Rosa. "My wife," answered Tom proudly. "And who are you?" asked Rosa. "There is no Clara here," announced Serafim cheerfully. "And there never was. There's only Rosa here." "And where is my husband?" asked Rosa. "Isn't that him?" pronounced Serafim, pointing to Tom. "This is the first time I have ever seen that man," replied Rosa. "Who are you?" exclaimed Serafim. "And by what right do you break into my house and make a scandal here?" Tom already wanted to apologize and leave, but Maria wouldn't let him. "This man is with me," she declared confidently. "And we love each other. And he's come to support me in my hour of need." "In what moment?" did not understand Serafim. At this time Serafim's wife entered the apartment. "What's going on here?" she asked. "I was at the airport. They had already announced the landing. But I got a call and was told to come back urgently because my husband has another one." "I'll explain everything now," tried to answer Serafim, but Maria beat him to it. "No, let me. Your husband is cheating you with my daughter-in-law." At this time Paul, Rosa's husband and Maria's son, entered the apartment. "I don't understand anything. And I don't want to understand. And it is a great blessing that I have escaped from this swamp. It's good that everything ended so safely for me. And I should thank fate that Clara wasn't involved. She's the last thing I need in this whole thing. I wish I'd never done that again in my life," thought Tom to himself. But when Tom got home the next day, he realized that things had not ended the way he wanted them to. Tom couldn't get into the apartment. He rang the doorbell, but no one opened the door. He stood at the apartment door with his backpack and didn't know what to do next, because Clara didn't answer the phone either, even though she was home. "Not tonight," she thought. "I'll kick him out when I've calmed down. Right now I'm too lazy to do that." Packing his things and everything. No. Not today. I don't even want to see him now. The next day Clara calmed down and informed her husband that she was divorcing him without giving any reason. Clara sold her apartment in Moscow, bought an apartment in Sochi and went to live there, and soon married. And only Tom is still alone. And he's not going to get married, because he doesn't understand why Clara left him. And that's why he doesn't understand women at all. And he despises them all. He lives in a rented apartment, saves up for his own and goes fishing every weekend. Alone. To calm his nerves. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next